Right now, joining us by phone from Lisle, Illinois, is Jim Oberweis. He's the president of Oberweis Capital Management. His Oberweis China Opportunities Fund outperformed 98% of its peers last year. Jim, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much to be on, Julie.
So this stress test, we're talking about a 60% decline potentially. That's what's sort of built into this stress test. Do you think it's a good idea for China to be doing this?
Well, look, I think stress tests are fundamentally fruitless to begin with. And, governments typically order stress tests and then show the world the results to reassure all the stakeholders that everything is okay. But stakeholders are a little smarter than that. When things are positive, they generally don't believe the results, a la Europe. And when things are negative, then obviously there's a reason to react. So I think it's fundamentally a fruitless exercise. I think China is pulling out some of the most extreme possible cases to show that, look, guys, even if things are absolutely horrible, we're going to be okay. And I think that's part of the point of what they're trying to show.
I mean, does the market kind of know that already? There have been some questions about what's going on in China, but as someone pointed out to me this morning, if you look at, for example, the Chinese ETF here in the U.S., it's about unchanged on the year-to-date versus the Chinese market. Outside investors seem to be relatively confident.
Yeah, and I think local Chinese tend to be really confident, too. I mean, I was in China a couple of weeks ago, and when you talk to the average folks on the street, I think there's a lot less worry there than there is in the newspapers here. I think with Chinese real estate, too, there is a pool of global buyers, folks like me who are sitting in Chicago waiting for a significant decline in prices and would quickly be a bottom feeder, even if it's indirectly through property developer stocks or funds that might buy real estate, should prices really take a dip. There's also, I think, a pool of homeowners. Certainly the urbanization process in China is far from complete. With homeowner penetration rates of 20 to 30%, I think there's substantial groups that over time would likely move in to support prices if you saw a significant decline.
Jim, what can we glean from any of the previous stress tests in China? Anything that would help us try to understand this going forward?
No, I think, quite frankly, most of the stress tests, like I said, aren't going to glean much of any importance. I mean, I think the previous stress test showed exactly what they're designed to show, that if property prices go down a bit, everything's going to be okay. And I'm sure that this stress test will show the exact same thing. And it doesn't necessarily mean things will or won't be okay, but it is just going to propagate the message that the government wants to send. Similar to the same way the stress tests in the U.S. and Europe did the exact same thing.
I mean, Jim, I'm curious, when you look at the real estate market over there, you do seem relatively confident. When one colleague was talking to me today about not just second mortgages being taken out on properties there, but third mortgages. I mean, isn't this a market that is getting pretty stretched?
It probably was stretched, particularly in the Tier 1 cities like Beijing and Shanghai. Whenever you get a market that is going up at very, very rapid rates and the cost of money is very low and money is readily available, yeah, it drives asset bubbles. Does that mean you'll have a systemic failure? No. There's certainly a difference between a market that might be overvalued and a market that is in danger of causing systemic stress. Right. Let's think about what caused the problem in the U.S. In the U.S., it was the over-leverage that caused banks to basically fail and run out of money. Yeah. And I don't think you have those because of the differences in down payments. In China, we're looking at 50% type average down payments that will provide some security.
All right, Jim Oberweis, President Oberweis Asset Management, joining us on the phone.